Pulsechain is coming out very soon, and I think we all know what happens when a project first comes out, that there's extreme price volatility. What if I told you that there was a way to take advantage of that? What if you could go long of volatility? That means that if volatility increases, you benefit from volatility. With liquid loans, which is a loan protocol that allows you to borrow at a 0% interest rate and never pay back your shit, with a collateralized position in Pulse, you can actually take advantage or go long volatility. This is awesome, and nobody else is talking about it. We're going to cover it in detail here, as well as show you an opportunity for an arbitrage with the loan token portion of liquid loans. So, with that being said, if this is your first time here, what's up? My name is Sam, for those of you who are returning. I don't know why you haven't subscribed already, but let's get into the video. Now, when we think of price volatility, a lot of the times people who hold crypto stock, whatever it is, tend to view price volatility negatively. The connotations around price volatility are bad, right? One day you have 100 grand, the next day you have 30 grand, right? Or at some period of time later. But there can be very, very big swings where one day you have 100 grand and the next day you have 69,000, right? Those things do happen, and you could go from 100 down to 30. There's extreme volatility. But what if instead of losing, what if you could make money from volatility? Yeah, you can. I used to trade options, so options kind of gave me the idea or the thinking behind this. So let's run through an example here. When we look at borrowing and think about volatility, borrowing where the collateralization, Pulse in this case. So if you're not sure what collateralization is, then just for very, very simple, if you borrow a house, if you get a loan on a house, right? So this property I'm living in, I have debt on this property, right? So the debt is collateralized. It's just a fancy way of saying what the fuck is behind the debt. So the loan, the mortgage, is collateralized by this house. So when you look at a loan with crypto, you're like, what is backing that shit up? In this case, it is Pulse. When you borrow Pulse, when you basically put Pulse into a smart contract with liquid loans and you borrow against it, what this effectively does is it means that when volatility increases, that's bad for you who's doing that. Let me show you an example, right? And maybe a more accurate way to say that would be like negative volatility in a sense, or like price volatility that's on the downside, which increases risk for the person who does this, right? Which I love. I think this is a awesome protocol. Like I'll definitely be using it in some or several different fashions here. I've got another video coming up too on how you could take advantage of this, and we're going to be looking at some returns and capital efficiency and how to utilize capital in a way to optimize returns or build positions or live off of it. So if you want to catch that video, make sure you subscribe. Now, this is a 50% price drop right here. So let's go through this example. So you've got 100 grand, right? You can change this to 1,000, 10,000, whatever your number is, $1 million, right? Say if Pulse is $1, right? That means you're going to have 100,000 coins. You put the $100,000 of Pulse into the smart contract. Liquid Loans calls it, a vault, right? And you pull out $10,000. right? That gives you a safety ratio or a collateralization ratio of 1,000%. All this is your amount borrowed divided by the total amount of pulse, right? So say if this was 50, whoops, I'm sorry, say this was 50,000 that was borrowed here, then you're going to have a safety ratio of 200. And you're like, well, that seems pretty good. Well, let's put this at 40,000, right? So if you have $100,000 and you borrow 40% of that, you're at a 250% safety ratio. So how much does the price have to drop for you to lose that loan, right? If the price comes down 50%, which is very common, extremely common, right? Then the new price of Pulse here is 50 cents. And now you're at 125% safety ratio, which means that at 110% safety ratio, your loan is no more, right? And that causes, at least here in the United States, a taxable event, right? Or it could be a taxable event. I'm not your CPA. So that could be a bad thing. Let's see what 60% does. So it's 60%, so it's more than 55%. 56 at 56% drop in price goes from $1 to 44 cents. And remember, if you're like, well, it's not going to be $1, it's going to be 1 penny. Okay, cool. Well, then just fucking move the decimal places. Like that's all you're doing. Just pick $1 so it's easy for people to conceptualize. So 56% drop means that your loan is no more, right? And you not only got your like you pulled out $40,000, right? The price has come down 56%. So what you end up losing is 10% of the value plus I think you get back the borrowing fee, but effectively for simplicity's sake, you lose money in this case with this, right? When price volatility increases, right? If we define price volatility as like, up and down movement of the price. So we see in this case here, borrowing, this contributes to a negative consequence when price volatility increases. And we know when shit first comes out, it is very volatile. What about if we took a different strategy? Well, what if we took $100,000 and we bought USDL from a DEX, right? From Pulsechain. We took that and we put that into the stability pool. Now, what does that get us? That allows us to earn the pulse from that liquidated loan that just came down 56%. So remember, this is a safety ratio of 110%. At 110%, the loan is liquidated, right? That means, if you think about what this comes out to be, the loan value, the pulse value is $44,000 in this example here. After a 56% drop, the loan value is $44,000. The pulse value is $44,000. The loan value is $40,000. There's $4,000 difference in there. Who gets that $4,000? Well, that goes to the stability pool. So what have we just done? What did we just do? We did is shift the volatility so that we can go long volatility. So instead of being short volatility would be a different way. Like generally you can short volatility as well, but like in this context it doesn't make sense necessarily. But the volatility is basically bad for somebody who has a loan, where it is beneficial or long. You can go long volatility in this case. Now, that gives this $4,000 to the stability pool here. But what else happens? And this is where we get into the arbitrage opportunity or potential arbitrage opportunity here, right? Because this is going to be very interesting. So we have to talk about assumptions, right? Because anytime you're modeling something out, if you're not cognizant of the assumptions of what you're making in any type of like model or analysis, then you're leaving yourself up to get fucked, right? Or just not know what the fuck you're doing and lose money or lose somebody else's money if you're helping somebody else. So being very aware of assumptions in models is extremely, 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 extremely important. So one thing that we have to assume here is that there's going to be a pair for USDL on a DEX like Pulsechain that has enough liquidity to allow the acquisition of, USDL, right? So in this example, that is the case. Now over here, we have to make the same assumption that the loan token from liquid loans has a trading pair or multiple trading pairs in a DEX. So that there has to be some type of liquidity to buy this stuff. So you would think there's probably some pair. It might be like very little liquidity, or it might be, have to go through 2 or 3 different things to get into it. But there could easily be a USDL Pulse. I would think that would be something. And there could easily be a Pulse loan pair, right? Or maybe even a USDL loan pair. Like these could all be things on the DEX, Pulsechain. One of the other benefits of purchasing USDL and putting it into the stability pool, besides shifting the volatility from being a negative thing to a positive thing and earning you money when volatility increases, you also get loan token. So let's take a look at that as well. And then we'll touch on the arbitrage. The loan token can be staked into a loan staking pool. Now, what does that get you? When somebody takes out a loan, there's a fee to take out that loan. Remember, there's no interest rate and there's no payment. There's no payments or like any repayment schedule or anything like that. So when they take out that loan, that tiny little fee goes to the people who hold the loan tokens in the staking pool, and it's distributed based upon the size of your position or stake in the staking pool. And that is paid in Pulse. So you get Pulse in that case. And then you also get USDL in the form of a redemption fee. So when you take a look at USDL, so right, this is going to be their stable coin from liquid loans, right? So USDL is a stable coin, unlike some of the other stable coins like USDC, that is pegged to the US dollar. So this is going to be pegged to a dollar's value of Pulse. And you're like, well, it's basically the same thing. Yes, it is kind of the same thing. And one of the ways that the loan staking portion of this is going to earn is like when there is large movement in USDL, that provides opportunities for arbitrageurs to take advantage of that. If, for example, the price of USDL is, say, 78 cents on Pulse X, well, what did we just say USDL represents? $1 worth of Pulse. So if I can buy USDL for 78 cents and I can stick that USDL into here and redeem it for $1, then I'm going to earn 78 cents. Yes. Well, there's a redemption fee to do that. You're redeeming your USDL for Pulse. So that fee goes to the staking protocol for the loan token. So you're going to earn Pulse and you're going to earn USDL. Now, what happens with USDL, right? We already understand what happens with Pulse when somebody takes out a loan. It is the price volatility is a negative thing for loan people who have loans. It's positive for the stability pool. Well, what is the effect? Let's look at each piece. What is the effect on the borrowing if the price volatility increases? Well, it's a positive thing, right? So say for example, in the stability pool, the price comes down, right? Price volatility is on the downward side. Then the stability pool benefits. Well, what if there's price volatility on the side of Pulse, say Pulse goes up in value, right? Because that's also a price volatility. Well, the loan token in the stability pool also accrues more value now. Because what happens when Pulse is worth more? Well, let's say this. Let's go over here and show you. So now Pulse is worth 10 bucks, right? So what ends up happening is, let's do this here. So if somebody is going to get 10,000 tokens this times this, so they're, what is this? Basically, they're going to have $1 million worth of collateral. This right here, borrow loan. Well, this shouldn't be said borrow, but like this is basically going to be $1 million here. And so if somebody has $40,000 on that, they're really over collateralized, right? 2,500% over collateralized. So maybe what they decide to do is take out $230,000 in loans, right? That still puts them at 438.4% collateralization ratio, right? Maybe they're 100, they want to take out 178,000 and use that to live off of over the next year, with the hopes that Pulse continues to go up so that they can take out more free money that they don't have to pay taxes on and use that to live or fund additional investments, right? Well, in that case, they pulled out additional money. Well, they have to pay a fee on that additional money, which goes over here to the loan staking pool. So you have volatility to the downside, the stability pool wins. Volatility to the upside, the loan staking pool wins. Well, now, what about USDL, right? So USDL, in the case of 78 cents on the DEX, right? People are going to buy it and then they're going to redeem it for $1 worth of Pulse. Right, so that's going to, what happens when people buy things? It drives the price up, right? So you're going to have the price volatility on USDL that is going to benefit. Now, what happens if it goes to, say, $1.20, right? Let's run through this because I haven't thought about this one. So if it goes to $1.20, then people in the stability pool are going to pull their dollars out of the stability pool to go sell them for a 20-cent profit right there, right? Because it doesn't cost anything to do that. There's no fee, there's no time lock to put your money into the stability pool. So if you have $100,000 in the stability pool and you see that on Pulse X it's selling for $1.20, that means you get a $20,000 profit by just moving your money over there and selling your USDL. And the transaction costs a penny, right? You don't have to be super fucking smart, right? You get $20,000 profit real quick, all right? And when you go through and sell something, what happens to the price? It drives it down, right? So that's how that mechanism is going to work. Well, that volatility helps this. That helps the loan staking protocol earn more USDL from the downward movement. In the upward movement, there's no effect. There's not going to be an effect on this, or at least nothing that's exactly apparent through running through this for the first time live. But let's touch on the loan token, right? So we've shown how drawing a loan is going to have a negative effect on the risk profile of a person who borrows. It's going to have a positive effect on stability pool. It's going to have a positive effect on the loan staking, right? And now take a look at the arbitrage potential for the loan token itself. If we actually, let's do a separate video on this. This video is already probably long enough. So if you want to catch that video, I'm going to do it right after this one. So make sure you subscribe, press that bell notification. It'll probably be out later in the day that this video comes out, or possibly the next day, but hopefully it'll be out the same day this comes out. If you want to support or have thoughts on this, or think this kind of stuff is interesting, jump over to Twitter, say what's up, or on TikTok or Instagram, or my other YouTube channel that should be coming up here right about now for fitness related stuff, similarly, where you get a different point of view, right, that not many people are talking about. Appreciate you. And don't forget to share the channel. If you If you found value in this, you found the stuff interesting, share this with somebody else. Appreciate you.